I think there's a real problem for the government, which is that when you get a batch of new voters, particularly voters like these Northeastern and Northwestern and Durham working class voters, people who culturally and traditionally have voted Labour and felt very loyal to the Labour Party, and it took a big wrench for them to not vote for the Labour Party. When those people are detached by, you need to really woo them. A very big charm offensive is required. And the problem is, this isn't charming, it's just offensive. Because playing by the rules is one of the core things about ordinary, decent, hardworking people. You often hear this on the doorstep, you definitely hear it in focus groups. I play by the rules all my life, but what do I get? And so suddenly you see the play by the rules community see somebody not playing by the rules, and not secretly, well, actually secretly, but not successfully secretly. This is the challenge for the government. They actually had to have a 4 or 5 year program of delivering to the needs of people in these constituencies they want, on areas like welfare, on employment, on skills, on the social environment, on improving the quality of the towns, and in reviving industry or bringing new service industries to these areas. All of that, all of those actions are essential, and they're still, if you're politically wanting to get a Tory government re-elected, essential. The problem is you can have a million programs, but one symbol defeats a million programs, and what you have at the moment is a huge symbol. That's the reason why there's pressure amongst conservative backbenchers that Dominic Cummings should go, because he is becoming both a symbol of a party that they don't want to be seen as, and also a lightning conductor for a lot of anger and rage. And the issue is, the political issue is, yes, it's a long time till the next election, but once you draw back the curtain, the public look at you and they get an image of you, a clear image of you, that freezes. It takes.
All right, so the honeymoon is over, is what you're saying.
The honeymoon is over.
The whole class thing in Britain has been played in many ways, because you can argue that sociologically many Labour voters nowadays, just as it started under Margaret Thatcher, are less working class than lots of Tory voters. But the idea that you're mentioning, playing by the rules, and I think it's a very good point. It's all going back to a narrative of people who are detached from public opinion. It's, the toughs above us, the rules are not for them. It doesn't help that Dominic Cummings also went to a good school. It doesn't help that the rest of the government is giving a sort of mixed impression. But all this progress that was made, that was almost Thatcherian in the sociology, it's been damaged by this whole view. And the narrative of the elites, which is worldwide, is something that is very specific in Britain. Quite rightly, you mentioned class, and that's the moment when it's not helping. And it's going to be interesting to see how it's picked up by the current Labour leader, who, unlike the previous one, was very competent. And Keir Starmer has been giving Boris Johnson a hard time in Parliament at Prime Minister question time, and he's been Prime Minister questions, and he's right now he's got this plum sort of dropped on his lap. He's got to do almost nothing. His popularity has risen among conservative voters. We were talking about this Mail poll, and he's now 3 points behind Boris Johnson at a time when Boris Johnson was 20 points ahead of Jeremy Corbyn.
Wow. So John McTernan, forget what happened in December, forget the Brexit referendum. The slate is clean?
Look, yeah, I think Labour are back in the game. Competent leader. They've lost the bad image that went with that last leader. The Tories have gained a bad image, and the coronavirus, in many ways, in every country in the world, what it's done is it's shone a very harsh light on the flaws in the status quo. And the problem is, if you're in government when the flaws in the status quo are revealed, you quite often actually have to carry the can for them. You have to carry full responsibility for them. So now you've got a Labour Party which just in December, hardly any time ago in politics, got the most stunning defeat the party had since the 1930s. Looked like it might take 10 years to get back into the game. They're back in the game now. That doesn't mean anything's settled for the next period. It does mean British politics is really interesting again. It's not a done deal with this new government with their great mandate and their new seats and the new voters. We are going to have a government with damaged authority trying to deal with the deepest unemployment we've had since the 1980s, and no roadmap through this, requiring, in a way, to get the support of the opposition for some big decisions about restructuring the industries, restructuring sectors, moving out of this and cutting unemployment. So Labour were going to be influential, but I think this has really leveled the playing field.